Hey everyone, this is Doug C. Brown with the CEO Sales Strategies Podcast. We're going to talk to Mr. Adnan Malik. Make sure I got the name right. He's the CEO of a company called Software Finder. They are I would say, a unique find for this podcast in the fact that they bootstrapped this company and they grew rapidly. And a lot of you who are bootstrapping your companies, which is primarily most of you, even if you're going to take funding, you're going to learn some things here today. So, Adnan, welcome to the CEO Sales Strategies podcast, and thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here.
So, why don't you tell everybody about what Software Finder is, and we'll go from there.
Okay, so Software Finder is a B2B software marketplace where we connect buyers and sellers. So, in a nutshell, if a company is looking for a software, for example, a HR software or a project management or a CRM or marketing automation software, any software on a business level, then they come to us. They go to softwarefinder.com. We help them compare different software. We help them look at demos for different software and pricing. And then as per their needs, we then recommend them top 3 or top 5 software that they should look at, which basically what it does is it cuts down months of research for any business when they're looking for a software. There are hundreds of software out there. In order to choose top 3 or top 5, it can take anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks just to narrow down. So by just spending about 10 minutes on a phone call, our consultants help them narrow down those options, which works great for them because now they're starting the search right and they're looking at the software that they should be looking at from the get-go.
Yeah, I mean, I think about my own thought process on this. Like when I've been shopping for software in the past, I just been like, should I get this? Then we research forever. Oh yeah, oh no, that's not going to work out. Then, oh, how about this one? And then, 2 weeks goes by. We still haven't made a decision on what we want. Now we're even more confused a lot of times because it's like we need all of this. So, what I love about the aggregate component of it is two things, folks. One, you save time, and time is money in this process. And two, what a heck of a lot of stress relief having somebody that actually has
Yeah.
been there, done that. No, and we all like to use experts. So now you bootstrapped this company. I mean, you started this up and you've grown it. I mean, you've grown it quite high compared to a lot of other companies out there. So what,
Yes, we did. Yeah, we did. So we started the company back in 2019. We're 3 partners who started the business. We knew each other from our previous lives, and we were so confident on this idea and that, that we can generate revenue very quickly. So yeah, we put our own, sort of savings into this project as well as a lot of sweat equity, which every bootstrap company includes. Doesn't show up in your accounting books, unfortunately. But so this is how we started, and we've been profitable since year one, and we never look back or try to raise any funds.
so people out there now, like when they hear bootstrap, they're like, oh yeah, okay, we bootstrapped our company. But the difference I find is you guys were able to bootstrap and scale the company. And a lot of times people bootstrap a company and they get stuck and they can't move it past that point. Why do you think that happens?
There are multiple reasons. I think we all partners come from a very growth minded mindset. We were on a mission to grow the company 100% every year. And the great thing is the last 6 years, we've been growing the company at 100% CAGR. Last year, we done 110%. So I believe on top of strategy and, having the right plan in place and, how you're going to save every dollar and you spending every dollar at the right place, there is, a tremendous amount of discipline and hard work, which is required in order to get to 100% growth. And you have to be ambitious. A lot of people, they take some growth and then they say, okay, they get relaxed and, they try to enjoy that growth. But, I think we are not wired this way, and we were just so hungry and we're still hungry to grow the company. Even this year, we're growing the company at 100%.
So we've been growing at least 100% year over year for 6 years.
Yeah.
And you mentioned about have to be wise about where you're spending the money. And can you expand upon that? Because I think a lot of CEOs, owners, they sort of think that's what they're doing, maybe. But where should our focus be if we're going to grow to that level over and over and over and over again? Where should the spending be?
Yeah, I think the most important thing is customers. I think all you need to do is always think about customers from the get-go. Most of the people that I meet that are not growing as fast or they end up not being successful is because they end up spending too much time building products without keeping customer at the center of the whole idea. So, I mean, since the start, product started developing and I was out there selling the product without the product being on hand. So, do start your marketing early, start building some, brand recognition very early, like footprints online that, this company exists, and start talking to customers. I mean, I always say start talking to customer in month one. Don't wait for a quarter, while you're building the product. So, and I think that's where we got lucky. We have a basic website, we had nothing, and we got our first customer, I think within 6 weeks. So that's the first thing. Yeah.
Okay. So I want to dive into this because I can feel a lot of people going, wait a minute. I don't have a product. I don't have the service done. Why would anybody buy it? And why would they give me money up front for something that may or may not happen?
Yeah, so I mean, in our case, we were providing. I mean, our main service is pay per lead model, where we speak to the prospect and then we connect them with the software vendors. So the service is absolutely free for the buyer, and we charge vendors for our service.
Right.
So what we were selling is, reaching out to software vendors that, hey, we can produce these great quality leads. We can build a strong pipeline for your recommended, ideal customer profile. And that was the promise. It was mainly service driven with a strong, website at the back end. But I mean, our product was something that every company is looking for. So we were lucky in terms of that. And I think more than lucky, I didn't want to start anything that, there is not a huge demand with. So we wanted to cover a service that, the demand is already there, and we fulfill what's missing out there. So, I mean, even today, every company who doesn't love a good qualified lead for their business or their sales pipeline. So I think what we were selling was very simplistic. Everyone wanted it as long as, you can do it right and you can fulfill your promise. We didn't charge anything upfront. We still don't charge anything upfront. We deliver the service and then we charge. So I think that's another important point, that, let the customer value your service, let them test it. That really opens up the door to entry, rather than you charge them $5,000 or $20,000 upfront. Let them come in, let them test you, and then, you prove through quality rather than sale page.
So I think the whole process of this is worth diving into. And here's the reason why. Most people either won't do it, like they'll like, oh no, I'm selling swimming pools, I'm selling, manufacturers, whatever, right? And it's like, we've got these cost of goods that we've got to go into, all of this. And it's like, so we're not really going to go into that. Or the other side is, the direct opposite. We'll just plunge head into this thing and then we'll find out, oh, the market doesn't exist. And I see even software companies making this, mistake, right? They go out and they build this, instead of building an MVP or, something, they go build the whole thing. And then all of a sudden the client base comes on and they're like, yeah, we don't really like this part, or this part doesn't work for us, or whatever. And I got to say, I've been guilty of doing that in my life, building stuff and then doing it. But how does one identify? I mean, I think it's as simple as reaching out and asking the questions, but is there a process to identify whether or not, other than that you've discovered?
I mean, there are so many different industries and so many different markets and products that, one formula is not going to fit all. I mean, we are in a service industry with a strong tech at the background. I mean, we're not selling technology per se, but it's more service driven. But even if you're selling technology, as you rightly said, you should build an MVP and bring customers, let them test it and get their feedback. Most of the time, what you're thinking is not true, because you're not serving their customers. You're not living into, people's shoes so that you can understand their problems. And the hardest thing, if you're bootstrapping, is to create demand. I always recommend don't bootstrap any idea where you need to create a demand, because that requires a lot of initial investment. If people does not know what they're looking for, or they have never heard about the product, or there is no need, then you cannot really bootstrap unless you have a big pockets when you're bootstrapping. That's fine. But if you're starting a company with $100,000, $200,000 worth of investment, never try anything that there is no demand for, because you will not have the marketing budget to do that. So yeah, it's so many multiple different things. Tech is totally different. If you're selling pools, it's totally different, and there's no one formula that's going to fit.
But the concept remains constant, right? I mean, it's like you're going to sell something that has demand, and you should test that prior to.
And that's what I'm saying. If the demand is there, then you go into sales straight away and test the idea, test the price, and see how people are reacting when it comes to, your MVP per se. So the demand is there, you can get into sales straight away, which is what I love personally. I like to go directly into sales rather than, spending 6 months or a year developing something and then creating a demand and then going into it. So I don't think so I will ever do anything that where I need to create a demand. That's not me.
So, how does one collect the money if they were going to collect money on a product or service? They put it out in the market. People are like, yeah, this seems pretty cool. Would you buy it? Yeah, I would. Now, the next question, would you do what? What would you recommend for people? I mean, I know in your case, you were getting paid by the vendor on the back end. So it's like, look, this doesn't cost anything on the front end. But if you had to advise someone, I mean, you've been down this road numerous times. What
Yeah.
would you suggest?
I mean, if you're into service business, I always suggest don't charge anything upfront because services mostly you want customer for long term. I mean, you don't
Right.
want someone to come in, you provide them a month or 2 month worth of service and you want them to leave because cost of sales, is not going to justify 1 month worth of service. So I always say don't charge anything upfront in terms of service. Even for product, I say don't charge anything upfront. I mean, you build a product obviously with a lot of heart, with a lot of vision, with a problem that you're trying to solve. And you should be confident enough that, your product is going to solve that problem. So let the customer test it. I mean, you might see customer where you will not get paid for maybe 20% of the customer, but that's not the point here because if you get paid 80% of the customers and you're selling 50% more, then
Right.
it all justifies at the end of the day because now you're reducing the cost per sale and that's fine if you get 20% churn or they're not paying you, but you get 50 or 100% more sales done by not charging them upfront. So this whole notion works really well. I mean, people want to get paid upfront and then they're going to provide service. I am kind of the other way onto this school of thought that, let them come in. If you build something solid, I mean, people should love it and then they should continue. And if they don't love it, learn the lesson and, maybe improve your product and continue growing.
Folks, I hope that what you just learned right here was worth your time coming because here's the thing. You do this the opposite way, and you're going to burn hundreds of thousands or millions or tens of millions of dollars. And you're going to be sitting going, well, that didn't work out. It's not a fun day when that happens, I can tell you. And this is so super important. And if you're selling a product or product that you have to put some money in, you can pre-sell these things as long as you have some type of thing that they can either test or demo or whatever. I mean, Tesla is a really good example of this, I think, where Tesla, you had to pre-order the vehicles before they were even manufactured at a certain time, right? Didn't stop Tesla from growing. And but the biggest point, please, to take out of this that Adnan's bringing forth so gracefully is do not run headlong into something you think's going to work without testing the market first. It is a huge mistake. Don't do it in your marketing. Don't do it in your sales. Don't do it in your product development. Because if you do and it works, happy day for you. But in most cases, I have learned that probably 7 out of 10 ideas aren't going to hit the way that we think they're going to hit. And what's beautiful about what you also just said, Adnan, was even if it hits and we know it's not the way we envisioned it to hit, we get such a valuable intelligence from the community. They may have said to you like, I love the fact that, this thing is working out where you go in and you match make the right services for us and take all the stress and up. But you know what? I'd really like a continuous membership program on something like that. I'm not saying they said that to you, but I'm